Hi, I hope you're well wherever you're watching this. In this video, I would like to share with you a 2-minute scene from this TV series called Devs. And I'll be using this scene as a jumping off point to share with you some concepts which, in my experience, I found to be quite valuable and useful. And my hope is that in sharing this with you, perhaps you might also find value in these concepts. So before we proceed, if you haven't watched the TV series Devs and you're planning to watch it, perhaps watch it first, just in case watching this might spoil your enjoyment of watching this beautiful sci-fi series. With the spoiler alert done with, let's go and watch this scene.
So,
Don't.
don't what?
Just let it be normal.
This?
Yes.
Normal.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do normal. So what about the dishwasher?
What about the dishwasher?
Did it get empty last night? I mean, I'm not trying to make a big deal or anything, you know, you did say you were gonna do it, and I did it the night before, so...
Excuse me. I walked the dog. You were gonna empty the dishwasher.
We have a dog.
We don't have a dog. We have a cat.
So you walk the cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, good. 'Cause the cat's not gonna walk itself.
I hope you enjoyed that. Before we proceed, I invite you to, if you're watching this with someone, perhaps discuss it between the two of you, or if there's more than two, all of you. Just talk about it, about what you saw. If you're alone, then perhaps you could write your impressions on a piece of paper or type it on your phone so that you can have your impressions recorded before they get colored, or perhaps get colored by what I have to say. So one thing to notice about the scene is, even before any one of these two characters said something, I could feel that there was something awkward about the situation they're in. And they're in a bed and it's morning time. So you would think that something happened the night before that makes them feel awkward the morning after. And this points to this thing that I've been noticing, that especially in the internet or social media, there's been a lot of emphasis on the words used. But in reality, if we're face to face, if we're in the same room with someone, a lot gets spoken without words. So they were just looking at each other, and if one is attentive enough, you could feel there's something awkward about the situation. In the warm data world, one could say that they're in a kind of a double bind. There's something awkward, but discussing it would be uncomfortable. But not discussing it would also be uncomfortable, because clearly there's something off about the situation, and we want to talk about it, but we also don't want, but if we talk about it, it will also become more, it could become more uncomfortable. And yeah, so this concept of a double bind in complex situations is that even doing something and not doing something, one is still caught in this kind of complex interrelating, relating. So the guy took the first step, and he was saying, so he's trying to address the situation directly. He was gonna, one could almost feel that he was gonna say, so what's the story between us? Without saying it, one could feel that. But before he could go on, she caught what was happening, and she simply said, don't. Which is kind of beautiful. So a way out of a double bind, or to go beyond the double bind, is not to remain in the context where the double bind is happening. So here he was trying to address it directly within the context it was happening, and she said, in a way, when she says don't, there's a lot of, so the word don't is like the little bit of language information, but it's referring to a lot of what we call exformation. A lot of things were discarded but remain in the situation. She was saying, don't, let's not address it where the double bind is happening. And beautifully he responds, don't what? So instead of being defensive, instead of trying to, I'm gonna go there whether you like it or not, he remained curious, and he goes, so what do you mean don't? And then she goes, let's make it normal. So that is a beautiful layering of context, but also in a way that she's playing with the word normal, because clearly their situation is not normal. That's why there was this awkwardness that she says, I know. So without saying a lot of the other things, I know this is awkward, this is not normal, but let's make it normal. She did not remain in the double bind. You know, it's like this Gordian knot thing. Instead of trying to unwind the knot, she just cut it with saying, let's make it normal. And then he replies, oh, I can do normal. So another way of looking at that is, these two people are playing like the infinite game. So no one's trying to win. What they're trying to do is to keep on playing. Instead of, I need an answer from you. What happened last night? And instead of her, instead of trying to compete or be rivalrous with each other and, I'm gonna win this game, whatever this game we're playing, both of them are listening to each other, feeling, how can we keep on playing? And this is what they do, they keep on playing. And she goes like, don't what? Let's make it normal. I could do normal. And then he adds another context. So there's another way in the warm data world to have more room to learn, have more room for mutual learning in a double bind situation, is to add more context. He added a context of playing with like the imagination. He's referring to, what about the dishwasher? And it's also a jab at in a lot of relationship contexts, the couple or the people in a relationship usually have this tipping point, like, oh, you didn't watch the dishwasher and blah blah blah, and they have this big fight when it's not really about the dishwasher, it's about the relationship, but they're using the dishwasher as the locus of the different complexities happening with the relationship. Here they flipped it around. There's the complexity, and then they put it back on this imaginary dishwashing scenario, and then she keeps on playing. It was your job to empty the dishwasher. It was my job to walk the dog. And then he goes playing, we have a dog. And then she realized, we don't have a dog, we have a cat. And then he goes, you walk the cat. So even if the scenario of their like imaginary play is becoming absurd, they kept going with it, and at the end they kind of laughed, and I could feel in the laughter that the kind of double bind has eased a bit. They're in a better place now. So if they wanted to talk perhaps about what's happening with them, they'll be in a better place. So it's like their nervous system has been eased up, and it will be a better ground for a better discussion. So here we find a few of the concepts that helped me a lot, which I learned from Nora Bates's work on warm data, and also reading J.P. Carson's book, The Finite and Infinite Games. So from these two sources, there's a wealth of information about complexity and human relating, or not just human relating, but relating with everything. So one, there is such thing as a double bind, where it's a bit like damn if you do, damn if you don't. That's how it's not exactly, but it's kind of a shortcut. There's some situations where you think not doing a thing absolves you of something, but you're still in it. And the way out of that is not to keep on zooming into the thing, but to add more layers of context. Called transcontextual. That's why warm data work is transcontextual learning. We're learning from each other, but in our multiplicity of where we live in the worlds we live in. And also this concept of which I've been applying in my life is, how do I keep on playing? So I just would like to refer to Ken Blackman, our relationship coach, put this thing up on Facebook where he said, like, the purpose of the go is to get you in the game. So it's not the game is not about attaining the goal, but actually the goal is to get you in the game. So it just flips it around as well. So we're all here. We use like things like the dishwasher or like football in England. People say, what's so amazing about men running, trying to kick a ball into a goal? It's not really about that. We're using that, whatever that thing is, or I'm using this medium of video or this clip, this scene, I'm using it to as an excuse, as a forum for other things. So when I talked about this exformation, I'm completing the reading of this book called The User Illusions by Tor. I forgot his last name, but the book is The User Illusion, where he talks about language is just in conscious mind. The conscious mind, when we're conscious, is just a narrow bandwidth. There's a lot of the non-conscious behind this. So when I say, even the way I'm saying it, I've already discarded a lot of information, but they're still referring to that the discarded exformation. So in a way, I'm always aware that what is said is not the complete story, because, for example, in that book, he mentioned perhaps one of the shortest pieces of correspondence between people. It was the guy who wrote Les Miserables. He wrote to his publisher. So he had his book published, and he went on holiday, and so he wanted to know what's happening with my book, and asked the publisher. But instead of writing a long letter asking what's happening with my book, he just wrote a question mark. So if you look at that question mark, without the context between the relationship between the publisher and the writer, it's almost meaningless. But that question mark, that one character, so it shed a lot of context that it's attached to. It's like, I wrote this book, it's not being published. So it's all linked to that. And then when the publisher got it, instead of replying with a long letter with tables of circulation or whatever, he wrote back with an exclamation point. And then it's Victor Hugo, perhaps, whoever the author is, he knew when that his book was a success with just an exclamation mark. So this concept is useful in many ways. Like, for example, a lot of people I know, or a lot of people in general, especially in corporations, they rely on surveys, on what people say and type in testimonies. But we question then, like, to what extent is that useful? Because that's why it's called the warm data is not there. When you just see the responses in a tick box, there's a lot of things that's missing from that thing. Like, if someone ticked box A instead of box B, it says something, but it's far from the complete picture, because it's like receiving that question mark without knowing the context of this author and this publisher's relationship, without knowledge of the relationship. I don't know to what extent that information is useful. So it's a bit like when we have all this discussion in Twitter. It's not about what's being tweeted, it's what that tweet is referring to, and that's why it's so easy to hijack. Like you could just hijack a hashtag, because that information can be used as a symbol or a referent to a lot of referreds, to a lot. That sign can be linked to a lot of signified, so you can hijack. And a lot of trolls have hijacked certain hashtags and certain symbols, because they added a different context to what was going on. And like, I've been listening to an audio room and with Noah Cyrus, and I'm learning a lot of the lingo in LA, and or in their world, in their little world. Like, they've kind of repurposed sickening as to make it, oh, that's sickening, instead of sickening as in a bad way. Sickening, that's cool. It's sickening. It's like I've started to use it actually yesterday in a conversation, and she got it without me explaining. But she was, I think, within their age range as well. So it's amazing how we humans can get. We're good at capturing context if we are. When I introduced this expression, we were like in real space, not in cyberspace. So I think, that's one way this helps us to realize that when it's just text, or it's just in a screen, or we may not be getting all the exformation that's happening outside. So yeah, so I hope you enjoy this, and if you want to go deeper, I invite you to join Liminaversity. You can see the logo and the name up there, .net, and it's a private community of people going deeper on a lot of topics, and it's a liminal university. That's one way of looking at it. We're trying to relate. It's like learning by relating. We're relating a lot of things from different sources to add more context, to get it to have a richer, deeper discussion, deeper learning, and to have a lot of different perspectives. So it's free to join. It's quick, and it's still new. So I'm still creating a lot of content and inviting a lot of people to also create content. But if you join now, it's still free, and you can be a pioneer in this endeavor. So I hope to see you there.